Bienvenidos, welcome to another virtual episode of NASA Science Live. In honor of National Hispanic Heritage Month, we want to reinforce our commitment to equal opportunity, diversity, and inclusion. Me llamo Raquel Villanueva. My last name originates from a town's name in Spain. It was brought to La Paz, Bolivia, where part of my family still resides. At NASA, we see diversity as a strength. We're bringing you an episode all about our Hispanic American employees and the valuable ideas and perspectives they bring to the agency. Like many of our employees, today's episode is bilingual, so be sure to toggle between English captions or en español. Today, we celebrate many of the amazing NASA employees with Hispanic heritage and the diverse and varied roles everyone fills.
Hola.
Hola, ¿qué tal?
Hello everyone.
Hola.
Hola.
Hi, my name is Dr. Bea Gallardo Lacord.
Yo soy Carmen Pulido, originaria de Tijuana, México.
Mi nombre es Andrés Andrade.
Soy Bettina Inclán. I'm Bettina Inclán, NASA's Associate Administrator for the Office of Communications.
Hi, I'm Frank Rubio from Miami, Florida.
My name is Ali Guarneros Luna.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Me llamo Ashley Curiel y yo soy de Guadalajara, México.
I'm from Azusa, California, and I was born in Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico.
Originally from Mexico City, but I live now in Queens, New York.
I am a proud American, first generation of Cuban and Mexican parents.
I was born in Mexico, but I'm currently residing in Los Angeles, California.
Hola, me llamo Jessica Arriola y soy orgullosamente mexicana y bilingüe.
Soy ingeniera aeroespacial y trabajo aquí en la NASA Ames.
I am a systems engineer at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena.
Trabajo estudiando meteoroides en el sistema solar. As a thermal engineer doing thermal analysis and design, especially with cryogenic systems.
I'm a clinical psychologist at the Johnson Space Center Medical Clinic, and I work with all of our former astronauts.
I'm a public affairs officer at NASA's Armstrong Flight Research Center in Southern California.
I am a business manager.
At JPL, I'm a mechanical engineer and I support electromagnetic compatibility testing on spacecraft and instruments.
I work for NASA's Office of STEM Engagement at the Goddard Institute for Space Studies, so I work closely with students and with teachers.
I develop technology for missions to the Moon and Mars.
And I am currently working with the Mars Navigation team, the Mars 2020 team, that is in charge of figuring out where the spacecraft is in space at all times and to tell it how to get to Mars.
And I have been working at Goddard for 1 year in magnetosphere-ionosphere coupling, specifically the Aurora.
And I became a NASA astronaut after a 20-year career in the U.S. Army. 8 years flying Black Hawk helicopters and 12 years as a family medicine physician.
And my NASA journey began soon after I had just started my classes towards my master's in education.
I remember I got the opportunity to interview at JPL after many months of not giving up, and now I'm a lead engineer in representing NASA.
And while I was still completing my master's, I came back for a second internship, which eventually led to a full-time position. Working here, I've realized that NASA also hires lawyers, custodians, and even social media managers. So it's not all just pilots and engineers around here.
Very proud of my culture, my heritage, and very proud to be part of the NASA family.
Thank you for taking the time to celebrate our rich culture.
Gracias. Hasta pronto.
I love seeing the wide range of roles Hispanic Americans have at NASA. Be sure to stay tuned at the end of our show to find out how you can ask questions one-on-one with our NASA experts. We're now joined by Sabrina Delgado Arias, an applications coordinator at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. Bienvenida, Sabrina.
Muchas gracias por la invitación.
So Sabrina, I hear that you are researching some exciting topics. Can you share more about your work?
Yes, well, my work in a nutshell is to be able to understand how people use ISA2 data. And this is the mission that I work primarily with. It was launched in 2018 and it provides us with the 3D profile of our Earth using height measurements. We have a number of people that have expressed interest in the ISA2 data. ISA2 provides us with measurements of sea ice, of vegetation height, of inland water data. And so I try to create awareness of what these data products are, or this data is, and understand how people can inform practical applications. So for example, we have a researcher in Brazil who is looking at how to use the inland water data product to look at surface water from space over the Amazon basin. There are a lot of floods and droughts that have impacted the local population, and so this information is very much needed. And we have other people that are looking at, for example, the vegetation data products from ISA2 here in the United States to look at changes in sage grouse ecosystems, or looking at changes in dryland ecosystems to inform changes to bird habitats. So these are just a couple of examples, but that is basically what I do.
That is fascinating work. Can you tell us a little bit about the path that led you to your career at NASA?
Yeah, well, I never expected to work at NASA, first of all. I always thought about astronauts and outer space, but never really the Earth. We came here with my family in the late 1980s. My dad was a telecommunications engineer, and he was part of the development team for what would have been the first spaceborne telecommunications satellite in Colombia. And so he really inspired in me that curiosity for science and technology. I think the same for my mom. She has always been very actively involved in our community through her volunteer work, and so she really has made me appreciate that love for serving others. I am very much a people person, and I love to connect people and connect with people, and this is a big part of what I do at Goddard. I studied agriculture and natural resource economics and science and technology policy. So I guess you could say it's an unexpected way to get to NASA.
And like you just said, it was an unexpected way, but for people following a similar career path, what would you like them to know?
That there are a diverse number of professions that you can find at Goddard. I think this is one of the things that most impacted me when I started working there. You have astrophysicists, you have astronauts, you have all the way to educational and outreach experts. So I would say there's an opportunity for all, and I would encourage everyone to just love yourself and have this reflect in what you do, so that this energy opens up the doors for you.
It's a great answer. Gracias, Sabrina.
Muchas gracias.
With hard work and dedication, anything is possible. And for Diona Trujillo, an aerospace engineer at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, these words are a true testament to her story. Diona moved from Colombia to the US, overcoming adversity, and is now working on her second spacecraft sent to Mars. Let's take a look.
Nunca se me ocurrió en mi vida de que yo podría moverme de limpiar casas a llegar a esta situación trabajando con Mars 2020. Mi nombre es Diona Trujillo y trabajo con manos robóticas para colectar materiales en la superficie del planeta Marte, para poder entender y contestar la pregunta: ¿alguna vez hubo vida en la superficie de Marte? Esa es una de las preguntas más fundamentales que el ser humano ha tenido por muchos años. Estamos en el laboratorio donde hacemos todas las examinaciones de la mano robótica. Las manos robóticas para estas misiones son muy importantes porque no tenemos un geólogo que pueda caminar en la superficie. Entonces lo que necesitamos que hacer es llevar varios instrumentos que podamos levantar de la superficie arriba, y en ese momento necesitamos una mano robótica que pueda poner los instrumentos en la superficie. Estamos parados en un área donde simulamos la superficie de Marte, y la intención es demostrar que podemos manejar en diferentes condiciones con el robot. Cuando yo me pongo a pensar cómo fue que yo llegué aquí, es algo que yo no me lo puedo creer. Cuando estaba en Colombia, desafortunadamente había mucha violencia, y mirar las estrellas era algo que me podía ayudar a calmarme. Yo llegué acá a Estados Unidos cuando tenía 17 años, aprendí inglés cuando llegué acá, vengo al trabajo como una mujer hispana representando a muchas personas que no han pensado que pueden ser parte de eso, pero que pueden ser en algún momento. Entonces yo me siento extremadamente feliz saber que tengo la oportunidad de ser parte de un grupo que puede cambiar la historia.
It takes a huge team of diverse individuals with an array of talents and skills to get many of our NASA missions off the ground. From mission start to finish, our Hispanic American employees have been trailblazers in the many roles they fill to explore the Earth and beyond. Today, we are joined by Lucas Paganini, a program scientist at NASA headquarters. Glad you could join us today. Hola, Lucas.
Hola, muchas gracias por la invitación.
De nada. So can you tell us a little bit about what you do as a program scientist?
Seguro. Unlike a traditional scientist who specializes in a given scientific field, a program scientist at NASA headquarters oversee the broad science content and execution of space mission and research programs. I work in the Planetary Science Division, which deals with the study of the solar system, except our planet and the sun.
And can you tell us your most memorable project that you've worked on?
Well, when I used to be a traditional scientist, my group discovered water vapor on one of Jupiter's moon called Europa. Europa is a moon slightly smaller than our own moon, and we believe it might have a liquid water ocean under its surface with twice as much water as all of Earth's oceans combined. Now, this has huge implications for our search for life beyond Earth, and this is why NASA is working on a space mission called Europa Clipper that will go to Europa in 10 years and will gather details of the moon with unprecedented details at distances never achieved before.
That's amazing. Let's take it back to your childhood, and can you tell me your earliest memory that made you want to pursue a profession in space exploration?
Yes, of course. Since I was a child, I always wanted to be an astronaut and a pilot, you know, like so many kids. I grew up seeing astronauts during the space shuttle era, building the International Space Station and servicing the Hubble Space Telescope. But when I had to choose a career, space exploration was not available in my city. So, you know, it was only later on that the study of space found me.
And this is actually a subject I want to get your take on, Lucas. According to the National Science Foundation, Hispanic Americans accounted for 6% of the workforce in science and engineering. Can you explain the importance of having representation in this field and what we can do in order to have better representation in STEM?
Yeah, this is very important. Science and engineering is the future, and for any community to thrive, they must be part of this wave. I think it's our duty as role models to motivate kids and young scientists to consider these careers. You know, our community is the largest minority group in the United States, accounting for 20% of the total population, so definitely 6% is rather low. But, you know, unfortunately, only 20% of our community has college degrees, so there is a long way to go. But on the bright side, the amount of Latin or Hispanic people with college degrees has tripled over the past 15 years. So this is the highest increase for all groups, which is really encouraging. You know, I think the message is education is essential, and it's what gave me the opportunity to come to NASA. Now, at NASA, we are committed to a culture of diversity, inclusion, and equity, and we hope to see more bright young people from all backgrounds join us in the near future. So, you know, keep studying, work hard, everything is possible.
Sí se puede. Thank you so much for joining us today, Lucas.
Fue un placer, muchas gracias por la invitación.
Gracias. After a mission is in its working stages, can you guess what comes next? That's right, the stage where logic and creativity meet to build spacecraft, instruments, and the complex advanced technologies needed to conduct NASA missions, like the Perseverance rover, which is currently on its way to Mars. This rover is the first step to a round-trip mission that will collect and cache Martian samples for a future mission, which will retrieve those samples and bring them back to Earth. Today, we're joined by Dr. Yahaya SierraSastre, a project manager at NASA's Glenn Research Center. Bienvenida, Yahaya.
Thank you very much. Gracias.
And how did growing up in Puerto Rico foster your passion for space?
Yes, I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. I come from a very small town called Arroyo, and I have really great memories about the nights spent staring at the black sky and the stars, in the middle of the night. I also have really good memories growing up and doing science fair projects, investigating the shrimps that I could see in the mouth of the river that crossed town. So Arroyo was my playground. It was that place that instilled in me that passion for science. Beautiful mountains and a beautiful ocean that really sparkled in me that curiosity to explore the universe.
So you said your path to NASA took a few different turns. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
That's correct. So prior to my job at NASA, I had to reinvent myself many times over the course of my career. I am a material scientist by training, but before becoming a scientist, I was a high school teacher. And I taught for 1 year chemistry at my former high school. After that, I continued doing research internships because I wanted to become a scientist, and finally finished my PhD in material science. But after that, after graduation, I worked as a scientist for different startup companies, also worked for the federal government in a different agency in a completely different technology area for security feature applications. And now I am at NASA, finally at NASA, fulfilling my dream, space dream, because space has been always a passion.
Now, you are leading an effort of building one of the Mars spring tires that will one day be used for NASA's first ever Mars sample return in 2026. Can you tell us more about the tires?
Yeah, so I am the project manager for the Mars spring tire team. This is the team responsible for the design, build, and testing of the shape memory alloy tires that will be in the future rover that we will be sending to Mars. These tires are made of shape-shifting materials, the materials that can conform to rocky terrains, and materials and tires that will be very durable and that will be able to just traverse those long distances to pick up the samples that the Perseverance rover will be collecting on the surface of Mars.
Now, Yahaya, what advice do you have for other Hispanic Americans who want to pursue a career path like yours?
I would like to advise other Hispanics to really consider a career in science. My career has been filled of many wonderful adventures, from being a research scientist to joining a simulated Mars mission to now working at NASA in technologies that we will be sending to Mars. So science and technology are filled with many awesome opportunities. I also would like to tell other Hispanics like me to reach out to scientists and engineers, ask questions about career paths, because they can learn a lot about which career path they feel passionate about. And most importantly, I would like to tell Hispanics to leverage their biculturalism. We are people that are experienced at engaging with different types of people, diverse people from diverse cultures and backgrounds. So leverage that in your workplaces, in your future career, to get innovative, to make of our workplaces better places.
Fantastic advice, Yahaya. Gracias por su tiempo.
Muchas gracias.
Now, there are so many people dedicated to working on new technologies that will help explore beyond Earth's horizon. Let's meet Diona Hernandez Lugo, Project Manager for Kilopower at NASA's Glenn Research Center, who is working to create power systems for future astronauts to live and work on the Moon or Mars.
Si vamos a ir a la Luna o Marte, vamos a necesitar energía nuclear. Mi nombre es la doctora Diona Hernandez Lugo y yo manejo un grupo de ingenieros en el desarrollo de sistemas eléctricos para la exploración del espacio en el futuro. Kilopower es un sistema nuclear. El sistema consiste en usar uranio. El uranio se calienta y este calor entonces transferido a electricidad para poder no tan solo darle energía a instrumentos, pero también poder tener la capacidad de que astronautas puedan sobrevivir. Creciendo en Puerto Rico, yo siempre hacía muchas preguntas y le preguntaba a mi mamá muchas cosas, que me compró un microscopio y con este microscopio yo podía recoger distintas muestras y poderlas analizar. Esto en realidad fue lo que me hizo a mí tener más interés en el área de la ciencia. Aquí en la NASA podemos explorar y continuar explorando el espacio.
The excitement behind NASA's missions wouldn't be possible without viewers like you. Engaging, educating, and reaching out to the public is an important part of NASA's mission. Besides, what's the point of doing awesome science in space if you have no one to share it with? Let's welcome Adriana Manrique, a multimedia specialist and animator at the Conceptual Image Lab at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center. Gracias por estar con nosotros.
Gracias, Raquel. Es un placer estar aquí.
Adriana, you came to the United States to pursue your passion. Can you tell us some more about your journey?
Sure. I came to the U.S. when I was 19 years old. I used to live in Tampico, Tamaulipas, Mexico. And initially I came up here to study illustration and animation at the Savannah College of Art and Design.
And can you tell us more about how you got into your role at Goddard's Image Lab?
Sure. During the last year of my master's, the mission ISA2 came down to the college and actually requested a group of students to create a series of multimedia products, and those were animations, illustrations, posters, and they're still being used today.
That's amazing. Now, what is your role at Goddard's Image Lab today?
Right now, I am a multimedia specialist animator, and I create 2D and 3D animations for several missions, most of them that go through Goddard, as well as I also create illustrations, other graphic design products.
And can you tell me what is one of your favorite projects that you've worked on?
Sure. My favorite project was with ISAT2, and it was the 88 Traverse video. And what the 88 Traverse is a trip that two scientists from the mission do every year down to the 88 South Line in Antarctica. And what they do is they set a set of reflectors that will help calibrate the satellite up in space. When talking to the scientists, one of them mentioned that it's the first time that people have walked that exact traverse. So the producer and I were like, this is amazing. It's like we need to put that sense of adventure, like the old explorers type of thing. And we just thought it was amazing because it's like boots on the ground doing this amazing stuff, and it's actually to help a satellite up in space.
Now, what many people think of when you work at NASA is to be a scientist or engineer, but you're doing very cool work as an animator. What made you want to pursue a career in animation at NASA?
Sure. The reason that I just love being here is because every single project, it's a new challenge. It's something that I never thought I would have to learn about, like helophysics, lasers, astrophysics, and all these kind of things that are just super specialized. And just the people that I work with, they're amazing. So every day it's just a great day.
It's great. Gracias por estar con nosotros hoy, Adriana.
Muchas gracias por tenerme.
As you can see, there are many fields that can lead to a career at NASA, and you don't have to be a scientist or engineer to join the team. From lawyers and legislative roles to communications, social media, and video, there's a place at NASA for a diverse range of careers, and all are essential to the agency's mission and goals. I am joined now by NASA Disasters Program Coordinator, Ricardo Quiroga. Ricardo's research focuses on disaster risk reduction and the application of Earth's observation to develop products and services for decision makers throughout the disaster cycle. Ricardo, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me here. This is an honor for me.
And let's talk about how growing up in Colombia influenced the work you do today.
Yes, I was born in Colombia in the coffee region with one of the most variety birds in the world. Also, I tour in all of the ecosystems and regions in Colombia. Also visiting Amazon jungle, where I work with indigenous communities trying to help to protect the ecosystems and those indigenous communities, including the non-contacted communities. That's why I understood the needs of the Earth observations to understand the planet and deal with this kind of challenge as disasters.
And can you tell us more about your role at NASA and for you personally, why it is important?
Yeah, my role in NASA is be a bridge between the data, NASA expertise and models with the communities, the countries, the government, and disaster agencies, be the bridge between NASA science and technology and decision makers in the region to support them understanding the risk, understanding the damage, and also providing near real-time products to make this important decision in the whole cycle of the disasters.
And what natural disasters has your work helped in regards to recovery?
Yeah, our program works with a different variety of disasters, for example, landslides, hurricanes, floods, fires, providing near real-time data to end users. But nowadays we are working with Guatemala City in multi-risk assessment. In Guatemala City is important because there lives 1.8 million people, most of them poor communities. And this is a combined effort with government of Guatemala, Guatemala City government, United Nations Disaster Risk Reduction, and another regional agencies in disasters. This is an incredible project because we are using high resolution data, NASA models to modeling the risk in that city, and that city has high seismic risk that could be affected many people.
And how do you connect to the communities and the people that you work with, that you mentioned?
Yeah, working in the Americas is important to know the cultural elements. It's important to speak the language, the regional languages. Also trying to connect the people as friends because we are creating a community in disasters topics. That's why it's very important the NASA leadership and credibility to join all those points, those stakeholders, to create a collaborative efforts to support decision making and also to deal with the disasters in one of the most exposed regions in the world to the disasters.
Wow. The work you do is very important. And for those watching, what's one piece of advice you could share with others who are just starting in their careers and maybe want to take a similar career path to yours?
Well, I came here because I have my heart very connected with the nature, with the communities. And at one point of my life, I understood that it's absolutely needed to involve science and technology to deal with the big challenges that humanity has in the future. For example, overpopulation, limited resources, and also great disasters coming. I think the science and technology combined with passion for them is a key element to be part of these efforts to save lives and goods in the communities of the Americas.
It's fantastic advice. Thank you, Ricardo, for sharing that and joining us today.
Thank you for having me here. It's an honor to be part of the NASA Disaster Program. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us at home. There's another opportunity coming up this afternoon for you to ask questions to some of NASA's Hispanic American employees. Join a Reddit AMA at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Visit the NASA en Español accounts for information and a direct link. And while you're there, make sure to follow NASA en Español on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you so much for joining us today on NASA Science Live. Hasta siempre.